Ooh, hey look, it's Chris Cashman at Pike Place Market with what might be the perfect pint, brews with a view. And when you drain this, you support Seattle Aquarium. I know, let's jump in. I'll tell you about it tonight on Evening.
Bruce Lee's daughter, Shannon Lee, on the new play about her legendary father.
What I love in particular about it is it focuses on him as a young man, which is a part of his story that you don't get to hear that often.
I'm St. Brian in London, having a smashing time and getting ready to interview Oscar favorite Jessie Buckley, who stars in the title role of the bride.
And out-of-the-box puzzles made right here in Washington.
And welcome to Evening. Let's milk this view for a moment. Welcome to Pike Place Market. We're just above Overlook Park. This is all a part of the expansion, and it is incredible. Over my shoulder to my starboard stern, Old Stove Brewing, arguably the best view in town, the Salish Sea on display, and maybe the best new brew because it benefits a neighbor in need and conserves our ocean. Robin is here from Seattle Aquarium. We're going to share a pint of One Ocean, this tropically inspired pale ale. And the proceeds from One Ocean Pale Ale go to support Seattle Aquarium's mission that's inspiring conservation of our marine environment.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, this is really a collective effort from our designers and Old Stove coming together on the look and the feel. But you'll notice that on one side is tropical animals and on the other is Salish Sea animals featured. So it really does capture what we have for you at the aquarium, which is both worlds and essentially celebrating one ocean.
Anybody looking for an excuse to cheers, it's a wonderful way to tie together Old Stove Brewing, the aquarium, which has expanded, the Ocean Pavilion, so many great things to do here on the waterfront.
Exactly.
Why not sip a One Ocean while we view it?
That's just it. Yeah, we'd love to invite people in to try it through both of our doors.
Also on tap elsewhere, the play Young Dragon. The Bruce Lee story was scheduled to run at the Kennedy Center in D.C., but Seattle Children's Theater decided they wanted to host the production, keep it here in Seattle, which was Bruce Lee's home for a number of years, the formative years, as we like to say. And Jose got to catch up with his daughter, Shannon, about what this play means to the family.
There's a play at Seattle's Children's Theater that tells the story of an icon, but in a slightly different way.
Let's talk about Young Dragon, a Bruce Lee story.
What I love in particular about it is it focuses on him as a young man, which is a part of his story that you don't get to hear that often. It's important to know this part of his story. It's important to see the beginnings, the foundation. You know, when we see him in films, he's so sculpted and perfect, and he's got everything down, and he worked very hard to cultivate that. But when he was a young man, that didn't exist yet.
How cool it is for you to know that there's gonna be a younger generation that maybe didn't get to see his films, but they're gonna get to learn about him in a different way.
I am always trying to think of ways to continue my father's legacy, and in particular, to introduce him to young people. The medium of theater is such a great medium, right? Because everything is happening live, real time, on stage. The magic that's created there for these young audiences is immediate, actually very intimate.
A story that many of us can relate to. Figuring things out, soul searching, and navigating life in a new country.
He was born in San Francisco, and so he had citizenship by birthright. But he grew up in Hong Kong. Even though he was a US citizen, he was also an immigrant at the same time because he had to come to America. He had to learn how to be American, how to navigate the culture here. So yes, his story is an immigrant story.
But he also was a philosopher.
Yes.
He also have a lot of thoughts, great thoughts.
That part actually is really important to his story. And it's the part that I've tried to get people to know more about. Because when you see the action hero and the martial artist, you don't think deep thinker, you don't think philosopher. He was incredibly well read. He had over 2,800 books in his personal library. He wrote about his thoughts all the time. All of this philosophy was foundational to his impact that he was able to make.
What do you want people to get out of it?
I hope they get to experience something a little bit outside of their normal experience, that they find exciting, that they find engaging and fun, and they're like, I want to know more.
A true legend. You can see Young Dragon, a Bruce Lee story, through March 29th at Seattle Children's Theater. Now, they say that puzzles are good for your brain health. Are you a puzzle person? Even if you're not, we found a spot in Port Townsend that might convert you. It's our latest Made in Washington.
It's not that puzzling.
I enjoyed doing jigsaw puzzles. I felt like they were just such a great break from the stress of daily life.
Why Maya Gupta, a former University of Washington electrical engineer professor, started a puzzle business.
And so I really love puzzles, but I wasn't finding enough interesting puzzles. I was like, I can get a laser cutter and I can make my own interesting puzzles.
With that, everything clicked into place. Today, Maya and her husband Jim Muller are professional puzzle makers.
We're at Artifact Puzzles here in Port Townsend, and we make artsy wooden jigsaw puzzles. These are not like cardboard puzzles. They're laser cut from wood.
The shop creates, packs, and ships more than 400 designs, all printed with soy-based ink and laser cut from environmentally friendly plywood. Some of the artwork is familiar, but most of it is contemporary, licensed from artists around the world, including Seattle favorites Vikram Madan and Justin Hillgrove.
We want artwork that's pretty colorful, pretty busy, pretty interesting, and we like artwork that tells a little bit of a story, because you can spend a lot of time with this artwork, and so if there's sort of some depth to what's going on that you're sort of thinking about and gives us some ideas for unique puzzle pieces, that makes it a lot more fun.
Prices range from $25 for a 75-piece starter all the way to $650 for this 9-panel masterpiece with more than 2,000 pieces. And look closely at the pieces. Some have a personality of their own. They're called whimsies. Specially shaped cuts become a part of the puzzle's story.
For me, it's just the feel of the pieces, and especially, that's why I love all these pieces that we do or that are in the shapes of animals and flowers and people doing things, is because it's fun to just pick up a little wood piece that's in the shape of like a little guy with a tool belt or whatever it is.
And if you're one of those people who always starts with the straight edges, you may want to rethink your strategy.
Our puzzles don't necessarily have straight edges and are just kind of weird and wonderful.
Analog, artistic, and engaging. All the pieces fit together perfectly for this Made in Washington product.
Often in daily life, you don't get a chance to really finish things. You just have all the stuff that goes on and on and on. And the thing I love about puzzles is you finish them, and there's just a sense of completion, and it's just nice for your brain.
Get yours. You can order Artifact Puzzles directly from their website. And I must tell you, producer Ann, who worked on this story, says she does not like puzzles until she tried these. Converted.
Coming up, travel to London with Saint, where Best Actress Jessie Buckley talks about being Frankenstein's bride, and the controversy brewing over Bridgerton.
Wow!
Local stories make a difference.
That's good.
With the power to enrich lives, strengthen communities, and make us smile. Evening is made possible by Primera Blue Cross. Primera Blue Cross, always in your corner.
Welcome back to Evening from Old Stove Brewing. We're behind the scenes here because they are actively brewing a new beer benefiting Seattle Aquarium. They have it available in these gorgeous cans and, of course, on tap. This is One Ocean, a gorgeous brew with a view. Sip a pint here and take a look at the Salish Sea. It's a no-brainer. Speaking of which, let's head across the sea all the way to the Atlantic, where St. Brian is standing by in London.
Hey, as you can see, I'm having a smashing time in London. The Bride has the untamed spirit of punk rock and stars Oscar favorite Jessie Buckley in the title role. As the Bride, Jessie Buckley makes headlines for her role in a violent crime spree.
Jessie Buckley.
In real life, it's Jessie's Best Actress winning streak that's getting all kinds of attention, especially just days away from Oscar night. Jessie, what has this award season been like for you?
It's kind of hard to take in and describe.
I love what I do. I'm so inspired by so many of the films that have been made this year and the performances that have been given. And to even be part of that's the biggest award for me.
Look. It is Jessie's role in Hamnet that has reduced so many audience members to puddles of tears. But she hasn't come from out of nowhere.
You can see him, and you cannot touch him. Do you understand?
You may have seen her in the series Chernobyl, or in the 4th season of Fargo.
I see you've met my daughter.
Your daughter?
The one and only.
Oh, yeah. Now I see it.
4 years ago, Jessie earned her first Oscar nomination in Maggie Gyllenhaal's previous film, The Lost Daughter.
3, 2, 1.
Maggie, are you at all surprised that Jessie is having this moment?
No, I'm not surprised that the people who really study film, make film, are experts in it, are looking at Jessie Buckley and going, she's special.
Monstrous. Now, virtually unrecognizable in The Bride, Jessie plays a monster, exhilarated by a second chance at life. This movie has such an untamed punk rock spirit.
Yes.
What does Jessie bring to this?
That untamed punk rock spirit. She's just like full throttle. She's got so much talent, and she just sort of loves putting it all out there, which is totally appropriate for this role.
So how does Jessie so completely disappear into roles? The answer may lie in her unconventional childhood. Growing up without a TV until you were 15, do you think that had any sort of effect on your imagination, on your ability to transform yourself into characters?
Absolutely. I mean, it kind of brought you down to the very nature of play and imagination, and you created your own worlds. I think it gave us a lot of freedom and wildness of our own imaginations to live without one for as long as possible.
The Bride is rated R and opens on Friday. Like punk rock, it is rude, outrageous, and probably not for everybody, but you'll have a hard time tearing your eyes away from the two leads. Tomorrow night, how Christian Bale got into his monstrous mood at the makeup table. But for now, let's move on to something completely different. A bit of controversy brewing at the end of Bridgerton's 4th season.
I take thee to be my lawful wedded wife.
In every wedding vow, there are ominous words spoken out loud.
Till death do us part.
Such was the case when shy Francesca Bridgerton married John Sterling in season 3. Soon, Francesca will need to lean on her husband's cousin. In the books, it's Michael who offers comfort. In the series, Michaela. How much thought went into the gender swapping of Michaela's character? What kind of reaction did you expect to get from that?
A ton of thought went into that. You know, it was the very first conversation I had with Shonda Rhimes when she asked me to be showrunner, was that, you know, it felt really important to me to be inclusive of sexuality in this world and to do it with one of the leading characters, not just a side character.
I could use more spirited friends.
The creative decision, approved by Seattle-based author Julia Quinn, upset some loyal readers. A sticky situation for actress Masali Medusa.
My first day on set, Hannah and Claudia came to my trailer, wrote me the most beautiful notes, and just working.
Obsessed with you. It was a bit heavy, wasn't it?
It was wonderful. I was like, oh my God, family. So yeah, and then the first scene, all 4 of us working together, they just really took me under their wing, and everyone's been so wonderful.
I always like to speak on the more positive side of this, is that there's a lot of people who are very, very excited about this change. And yeah, it's a show about representation and inclusion, and queer people are part of that.
Expect more on that front in seasons 5 and 6, already confirmed. How many more Bridgertons are there? How many more seasons can we expect?
Hundreds, you know? Violet could have some more children. She's got 8 right now, so the idea is to do 8 seasons, but you know, this is such a rich world, and I think we will hope to have spin-offs and keep the franchise going.
You can watch the final 4 episodes of season 4 of Bridgerton. It's already streaming on Netflix. And for now, I shall bid you good day from London.
Thank you, Saint. More to come tomorrow with Bridgerton and The Bride. Plus, we get to tour the London pad of one of Seattle's most famous native sons, Jimi Hendrix.
Coming up, he plays face-melting metal guitar. And he's not even old enough to drive. Meet Seattle's Vox Realis.
Our specialty is pizza. We have 10 types of pizza. It's a drive-through, but also people can come up to the window and order, and they can sit down and enjoy the meal here. We are fast. For a slice, it's 2.5 minutes. For a whole pizza, it's about 5 minutes.
It's amazing.
We have a unique pizza, and I invite everybody to just taste it one time, and I can guarantee they come back.
And welcome back to Evening from Old Stove Brewing here at Pike Place Market, where buskers, a lot of musicians got their start. There's a new guitarist on the scene playing some serious heavy metal, and he's not even old enough to drive yet. Jose introduces us to Vox Realis.
I'm Vox Realis, and I'm 12 years old. I started when I was 7 years old. I'm not a prodigy. I have talent, and I work very hard for it.
Hard, he truly does, because Vox knows exactly what it takes to be a great guitar player. Talent, practice, and love for guitars.
This is my Steve Vai Pia. I love it. It is a workhorse. We have the gray Kiko, the RG421.
What is it about the guitar?
I mean, there's just so many things you can do on it.
Things he did to take his guitar playing to the next level.
When do you start realizing maybe I'm better than a lot of people?
I think it was when I started learning The Trooper by Iron Maiden, the solos. That was my first big metal solo.
Since then, Vox has worked on learning and recreating the tunes of some of the best guitar players in the heavy metal world.
It's fun to play covers because I learned something new about the guitar.
And what do you do with all that content? Like everything nowadays, you post it on social media.
Hello, metal for breakfast. When I started this channel, I did not expect to get this amount of love. If you told me that I would have 60,000 followers on Instagram and 60,000 followers on TikTok, I would be like, get out, no way.
The reality was that people really dig seeing Vox play iconic songs. Which brings me to the next question. Who are his top 3 guitar players?
Like just 3?
You want 5?
Okay. Kiko Loureiro, definitely. Marty Friedman, Tim Henson, and Scotty LePage from Polyphia.
To make things even better, one of his idols, Kiko Loureiro, became his mentor after being accepted to his academy.
It's not everyday thing that a rock star mentors a kid.
So many things, right? You know, to see a young kid with such a great technique. He loves music, he's very dedicated, so inspiring. Yeah, of course, I relate 100%.
Here you are, you have a really solid start. Chances are big for you.
Yes, I do have a good head start, and I'm not gonna blow it.
Thank you, Jose. As you can see, Vox continues to eat metal for breakfast. And by the way, the name Vox Realis means real voice in Latin. Vox gave himself that stage name when he was just 10. He's going places. Remember where you heard about Vox Realis.
Up next, the Seattle pop artist whose new song has the attention of Spotify.
Now in our 40th season, Evening shares local stories that make our community shine. Evening is sponsored by Pemco Insurance. Pemco empowers the Northwest to prevent the preventable. Learn how at pemco.com.
And welcome back to Evening from Pike Place Market. I can almost hear the buskers from here. In fact, we want to give a shout out to a Seattle native, a pop singer and songwriter who caught our attention. Avery Cochran just released a new song and a video called Losing Streak. Spotify is noticing it too. They put it onto their all-new pop playlist just this week. How cool. Avery has a show coming up April 4th at Barboza. Go check her out. Thanks so much for watching tonight. Thanks to our friends at Old Stove Brewing. I'm going to walk down to the aquarium. You know it connects, right? We'll see you next time.
I could run to a new realm, but all of my past selves want to cling to you instead. what you want.